All right, let's get right into it. There's a huge shift happening right now, deep inside the AI models we use every single day. It's kind of like a changing of the guard, and it could completely redefine what's next for artificial intelligence.
So you know all the big names, right? ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, the whole crew. Well, the engine that makes them all tick, the core technology that lets them understand language so well, it's an architecture called the Transformer. And for years, it has been the undisputed king of the hill.
But here's the kicker. What if that engine, as powerful as it is, has a massive, fundamental flaw? A flaw so big that the smartest people in AI are already building its replacement. And we're not talking about a minor tune-up here. We're talking about a completely new kind of engine.
So, here's the game plan. First, we're going to dig into the Transformer's big problem. Then, we'll introduce the new challenger, Mamba. After that, we'll see how researchers are building a hybrid brain by combining the two. And then the payoff. We'll look at how this makes AI faster, cheaper, and smarter. And finally, we'll ask, what does this all mean for the future?
Okay, first up. To really get where we're going, we have to understand the limits of where we are right now. So what is the hidden weakness of the mighty Transformer?
So, what makes a Transformer so special? Well, it all comes down to this thing called self-attention. Think of it this way. When it looks at a sentence, it doesn't just read word by word. Nope, it looks at every single word at the same time, in relation to every other word. It's like getting a bird's-eye view of the entire text at once, which gives it this incredible sense of context. But here's the catch. That superpower, it's also its Achilles heel.
And that weakness has a very specific, kind of scary-sounding name, quadratic scaling. But don't worry, the idea behind it is actually super simple and super, super expensive.
The math on this slide tells the whole story. For a transformer, if you have n inputs, let's say words in a document, the computational cost is n squared. That means if you double the length of the text, the compute power needed doesn't just double, it quadruples. If you triple it, it's 9 times the work. You can see how this gets out of hand fast. It creates this massive bottleneck that makes processing really long documents incredibly slow and expensive.
So this huge scaling problem basically put a giant help wanted sign up in the world of AI. And that's where a totally new approach comes into the picture, one that works more like how our own brains do. Meet Mamba.
Mamba is what's called a state-space model, or SSM. Now, unlike the Transformer's bird's-eye view, an SSM works sequentially. It's more like how you and I read a book, one word at a time. And as it goes, it keeps this running compressed memory, or state, of everything it's seen so far. The magic here is that this scales linearly. So if you have n inputs, the cost is just n. Double the text, you only double the cost. This is a huge deal.
What this all means in practice is that Mamba just smashes through that quadratic wall we talked about. It's built from the ground up to be super efficient, especially with really long streams of information. It can read whole books or analyze huge chunks of data without that crazy explosion in cost, which opens up all sorts of new possibilities that were just too expensive before.
So you might be thinking, great, Mamba is the new king, Transformers out. But, well, it's not quite that simple. The real story is actually way cooler than just a simple replacement. You see, the really smart folks at places like NVIDIA looked at the Transformer's global genius and Mamba's incredible efficiency, and they asked a really simple but brilliant question. Why do we have to choose? What if we could just combine them and get the best of both worlds?
And this is what that brilliant idea looks like in the real world. This is the blueprint for one of NVIDIA's new Nematron models. See how they've woven them together? You've got a layer of Transformer attention blocks for that big picture understanding, and it's followed by a layer of Mamba blocks for that super efficient processing. They just alternate, back and forth. It's like building a hybrid brain. Okay, so that all sounds great in theory, but does this hybrid brain actually deliver in practice? Let's look at the results, because honestly, they're pretty mind-blowing.
Okay, check out this chart. On the left, that's accuracy. The blue bars are a top-tier Transformer model. The green bars? That's our new hybrid. And look, they're right there with them, sometimes even pulling ahead. So key point here, you're not sacrificing any brain power. You're getting results that are just as smart, if not smarter.
But now look at the right side of that same chart. This is throughput, basically how fast it works. And wow, it's not even close. The hybrid model is up to 6.3 times faster. So let that sink in. You get the same top-tier accuracy, but you get it way faster. That is the Mamba efficiency kicking in big time.
And why is that efficiency such a game changer? Well, it comes down to money and resources. To give you some perspective, take a look at the training costs for another massive model, DeepSeek V3. We're talking nearly 2.8 million GPU hours. The price tag? Over $5.5 million. Now imagine you can make that process 3, 4, even 6 times more efficient. You're not just saving a bit of time, you are completely changing the economics of who can build cutting-edge AI.
So, what's the big takeaway here? What does all this mean for the future of AI? Well, it feels like we're really at an inflection point. This quote from the NVIDIA paper just nails it. The goal is to increase throughput, which is that speed and efficiency, while achieving state-of-the-art accuracy. That right there, that's the new North Star for AI development. Get the best performance, but without the insane punishing cost.
Ultimately, what we're seeing is a fundamental shift in philosophy. We're moving away from the era of just brute forcing the problem with more and more computers and into an era of smart, efficient, and elegant design. It's about being clever, not just colossal. And that leaves us with the most exciting question of all. When you make AI this much faster, this much cheaper to build and run, you're opening the door for so many more people, more startups, and more ideas to come to life. So, with these barriers coming down, what are we going to build next?